So Africa has finally joined the G20. Big deal. Because a lot of times the issues that they discuss during these meetings has so much to do with the global south, which Africa is part of, and we are not usually there, because we only have South Africa at the G20, and South Africa cannot entirely carry the voices and represent Africa in its totality. And so I think that having the African Union there is important, and maybe that will be an opportunity for our voice to be heard, or for us to get an opportunity to give an opinion on what we think could be of help or a solution to some of these problems they discuss on and around Africa when they have these summits at these meetings in the G20. But I'm not very sure if this will change anything in terms of the developmental agenda in this continent. I'm always of the opinion that African solutions to African problems will never come from outside. African solutions to African problems, unless they're homemade and homegrown, then it's not sustainable. Because remember, these countries that as we have already established, they never engage in finding a solution or working out on some things if it does not serve their interest. Like, their interest and their foreign policy is the bottom line. And so is this just another stage that we shall have Africa being represented, but just for formality purposes, and our voice will actually matter during deliberations? Because we've seen in these international organizations like the United Nations, for instance, Africa, as much as we have the largest number of states in the United Nations, but our voices usually don't matter, and a lot of times we are what you would consider flower girls. You're just there to stamp, to vote on the agenda of other countries. We really don't have a voice because, one, we don't have a permanent membership at the United Nations Security Council, and two, they never really take us seriously. So by Africa joining the G20, will this make any difference? Will this provide for us an opportunity where we can engage as equal partners, or is just another formality and we shall be having our leaders go there, an African Union representing us, and at the end of the day it will not bring any much changes? And when it comes to African Union, sometimes I'm usually very hesitant as far as its representation is concerned, because we know for a long time African Union has not been doing a very good job as far as representing this continent. And so will they do a good job now that they will be representing the continent in the G20? So I think these are some of the questions that we must interact with. But as I have said, I don't think much might change. Maybe I'm just too pessimistic. I don't think it will bring any meaningful changes. Of course, our voices maybe will now have a proper platform to be heard in terms of the things that we think are priorities to this continent. But even with that, some of the members there, the European Union and a few other countries, are the ones who are funding the African Union. So are we just having an organization just, it will be there just stamping their agenda? Because if you don't have the financial muscle, and some of these countries are the ones which are providing and supporting your activities in the African Union, and now you want to sit there as an equal and want to have a voice, I don't know how that is going to work for the continent. But I think that African solutions to the African problems, unless they become homegrown and unless they start from here, I think we can join as many organizations as we wish, be part of these important organizations as we might want to, but that will not bring any meaningful change until we have serious changes from, one, our individual countries, and two, as a collective, as a continent. So, but I'll be waiting to see how now, us being permanent members of the G20, how this will work for us. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but not fully there.